got to build those foundational pieces for your mind or for your body. And
Yeah.
there's nothing better to listen to your mind to have a really solid foundation in your body, right?
Perfect, everyone. We got Jim from here from, is it Fixable?
It's fixable.
Fixable. I got it in my head that it's flexible for some reason. But hey, perfect. You're a chiropractor, a licensed chiropractor. Is that correct?
That's right.
Perfect. And now you're running a startup and jumped into the tech industry.
Yeah, jumped in pretty early, actually.
Oh, yeah? Perfect.
Yeah.
We'd love to learn more about that. We had an update call a few weeks back. We got to learn a little bit about each other. I'm really excited to talk to you about this because I love when professionals, especially like medically trained ones, jump into like into a startup and run a startup because they see a problem in their industry or within the healthcare space. Because especially as someone who's licensed in something, like you have a deeper knowledge in a certain thing, and when you have seen patterns that requires a company to solve, certain company to solve, I feel like these companies perform a lot better because they come from like a more of a practice kind of background of knowing problem sets. So let's talk about that. You're a licensed chiropractor, and now you have this platform for sharing, content around chiropractic.
Just helping people out of pain. That's our job.
Cool. Let's talk about that. What took you to chiropractic? Why become a chiropractor, and what took you here?
You know what? I think it all comes down to wrestling. And
Okay.
So going back pretty far, I wrestled from the age of, I guess, when I was like grade 8, and it's probably one of the many sports that I really enjoy. It's probably the one of 2 sports I really, really excelled in. But along the way, there's so many challenges, including physical injury. And I remember having to take the bus with my little sister who I was babysitting, who was like, 2 years old, across from, I grew up in Malton, so like right by Rexdale. Not the best place in the world. And jump on a bus, pick her up, jump on a bus to go for a physio appointment in the middle of Mississauga, and sit there for like an hour and a half. So the journey would have caught, I literally spent like 3.5 hours traveling before wrestling practices and then going back home. So I just remember that whole journey. And I was always in a clinic. I've torn my knees up, like numbness and ridiculous pain all down my arms. When I was in OAC back in the days, we had OAC.
Yeah.
And I just remember like how hard it was just to get treatment. And at the end of it, all the stuff they were doing, like from ultrasound to all the gadget stuff, the main thing that really got me better was the rehab. Was the training, right? The rehab, like challenging body, like putting your body through control stress in order to get better. So I always took that with me and just really understood it and I volunteered and I done tons of work in the rehab field. And that's how I really got started. And, from there, I guess, got into really deep, understood the field, really learned, got certified in strength and conditioning. So that's through the National Strength Association and NSCA. And that's the highest level of training you can get. So I train professional athletes, as well as work with the National Wrestling Association, and also work with MMA fighters and consulted for the UFC. So, and then I opened up clinics and just saw this massive problem of still getting access, right? So we're spending like $1,100 at least on an injury, and then 70% of our patients are dropping off before they're discharged because of either money or just like time. And imagine if you're a mom of 2 with kids at home, how do you get to 10 treatments and actually get better? And not just get better, actually prevent the stuff from coming back, right? So we were looking for a solution to democratize physical health and to really get people a solution that works. And where they can access anytime, anywhere.
No, definitely. So that's kind of cool. Like, what took you to this is experiencing this pain point yourself, being an athlete, going through injuries and not being able to get the medical help. Was that the main point of, going down this to be like a practitioner in chiropractor, was like helping other athletes, You mentioned you consult with a different bunch of firms, but is that something how long you been doing that?
For the last 12 years, actually. So
Okay.
I've been there for quite long, and yeah, so it's essentially why I, took this journey, went down this journey, and really got deep into the field. And I feel like, I travel the world, treating people as well as I just understood it really well. And when it came down to it, it was either hands-on therapy or rehab-based therapy. So we call it mobility stability model. Um, at the end of the day, what really took people up to that next level was that stability. So that exercise component, they can do so much stuff with just a massage ball, and functional movement patterns. And that's what we created. What we created. Prior to this, I've also created an electronic medical record back in 2010. So we co-developed that. That's in Curling and Night Health Networks. I exit out of that. Had a bunch of other startups, and angel invested. I franchised the current clinics that I have. It's called Form and Function, and done many other things on the entrepreneurial journey, I would say, prior to, diving deep into Fixable.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So let's talk a little bit Fixable. You talked about it being like a platform to, help people get out of pain. Like, what exactly does it do? I oversaw the website, but didn't get to, log in or anything like that. Can you talk a little bit about how you help people?
Yeah, for sure. So majority of the process of getting better, I would say, still comes down to education. Just understanding what your body does, how it does, and how does it get better, right? So we do have a lot of content with thousands of videos where we can mix and match and create new programming for our patients. But we also have some of the solutions that are like based on the best research there is for common injuries, like low back pain, for instance. 8 out of 10 people have low back pain at some point, right? It's a massive, massive problem. I mean, injury alone is a $635 billion industry just here in North America.
Jeez.
It's huge. So everyone runs a pain at some point. And the most common ones are like low back pain, neck pain, whiplash, for runners, IT band syndromes, knee issues, like runner's knee, PFPS, those type of issues. And we have the best solutions based on the best research in a progressive level with not just content, but we're built machine learning and AR into it. So it's actually dynamic. So you'll see in the platform as it grows that it'll grow with you. So as you get better, it's going to progress you in different sets of reps. And in the future, it's going to actually set out different progressions of exercises relative to the algorithm. We're also building augmented reality. So about second quarter, third quarter next year, you'll see a platform where not only are you going to watch the videos and do the exercise, but the system, your phone's going to look at you and it's going to tell you, hey, Ravi, are you doing your squat properly? No, the knee's too far over the toes. Here's a correction. This is what you got to do better, right? And on top of that, we have one-on-one conversations with practitioners. We built our own Zoom killer, if you will, but we have specific angle tools and like highlighted tools so I can point out to your body in this call and make you move. So it makes the whole process a lot more seamless. And that's Fixable 101, and best solutions in it. You'll see some really cool tools where it's like it helps you not just from pain, but works on prevention. And then if you like, and we're going to work on your performance. So performance to work at work, feel amazing during the day. What are the life hacks and health hacks you can do throughout the day to feel amazing?
No, that's sounds really enticing, because that the one-on-one kind of potential, especially at working with somebody, right? That's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, especially now with COVID and like not being able to get a personal trainer, our gyms are all closed, man. That's been my biggest struggle, right? Like for me, I put into my daily habits past few years is start the day off with a workout. I pay for a 24-hour gym all access pass because like I can go in whenever and I need to get my workout in every day because I've drilled it into my head. That's how if you don't take care of your body as a vehicle, then you can't do what you really need to do. You can't get your work done.
Absolutely.
Right?
You got to build those foundational pieces for your mind or for your body. And there's nothing better to listen to your mind to have a really solid foundation in your body, right?
Yeah, and I think, man, going forward, I think how many gyms have went down? I think LA Fitness, Gold's Gym, even Good Life is now struggling. They might even go under and clear bankruptcy. Like gyms are going out, so less fitness options for able people. I'm investing in a home gym. People who can afford to are doing that. But so I think the idea of using technology at this level, where you can better give more coaching and more responsibility and more accountability for people who want to achieve more health, I think it's definitely beneficial. Do you have any plans to using like AR technology, like to see how to like actually use the cameras on the phone device, like see how people's movements are? Do you have any
So
capabilities
yeah,
coming there?
that's what I just explained earlier. So
Mm,
that AR component is definitely is something, and we already have a version of it, and we're working
amazing.
with the National Research Council. Just got approved for another project to take it to the next level. So it's coming real soon, and it's going to be a part of the whole journey in the process, and it's going to be guided with coaching, and we want to also make it like the one-on-one sessions are always a little bit more expensive. So we want to
Mm,
create a seamless product that not only has the coaching side of it when you need it, but also on its own should be able to get people better significantly faster. And one of the biggest challenges I think from a clinical model is the engagement. It's easier to get people in the door, but it's really hard to get them to do what you tell them to do. They'll tell you, hey, Dr. Jim, I'm doing it. I got it. I'm doing it. It's all BS, right? Like the majority of
mm,
people are BSing and they're not doing it to spec. And not only are they just kind of lazy and not getting there, but there's no incentivization when they're just a little bit out of pain. So this system, this gamified approach that we created, makes it so much more enticing to not just get out of pain, but also move to the next step, like next level. So we have point system, we got streaks, and we got incentivization. Like we'll give you a free fixable once you hit a certain marker. And then if you're working for one of the corporations we work with, then your HR department is going to incentivize you with those specific points set, right?
hmm.
So it's all built into, you know, with human psychology to better yourself.
Yeah. No, I think. I mean, you gave a lot of things to talk about, but let's talk about the AR tool because,
Mhm.
AR technology, VR technology has been, talked about for being used in healthcare for a while now, but it always seemed like such a faraway concept. People are like, yeah, we're working on it, right? But to have a deployable model, I think that's really exciting. I'd love to
Yeah,
like take a look at this when it is available, but
absolutely.
right, the repercussions behind this is really big because a personal trainer it's pretty expensive. Even going to like a gym that has like more advanced. So a lot of people do this like now like fitness gyms where like you have these programs and you have like almost like physio built into it. It's more personalized experience. There
Mhm.
are people that are willing to pay like a couple $100 for the gym experience where it's more personalized healthcare, right? And like that's where like I think the industry is moving towards, like not just in healthcare, but tech infused products is more
Mhm.
personalized care, more personalized experiences, right? Could you talk a bit more about how you're personalizing, like the physical side of things, like is it with workouts, is it aftercare after workouts, like what side of things is personalized?
The whole program is all personalized. So if you take your guided journey, so this is when we work with corporations, they typically take the guided journey. So the guided journey comes with a consultation with your coach, with your health coach, and they're all licensed practitioners, either being chiros, physios, athletic therapists, or psychotherapists, depending on what your problem sets are. And they guide you along. They'll create a customized programming with the thousands of videos and the outcome measures we have. So
Mm,
these outcome measure will be like, hey, Ravi, how much pain are you in today? Like 0 out of 10, or it gives you a score. They're called functional measures, right? So we have specific scores based on the best research for you to input your start of progress at the end of the journey. Where are you at? How much range of motion? How much pain you have increased, right? And then with the AR and all those are AR is another outcome measure. So it's
mm,
another data point to show you how well you're progressing. And that's going to show you within your dashboard how well you're actually getting and are you checked off for your physical health. And then once you're out of pain, we build foundations. So you'll see in our fixes, there's like core foundations, there's shoulder foundations, there's like neck foundations. What does that mean? Those are the preventative stuff, right? Posture, for instance. Like we have programming that cues you throughout the day to upright, and here's a quick little video to get back in place, right? So those things are really, really important to, I think, to engage people and make sure they're
mm,
consistently engaged. The product you become better as you engage more with your product, right?
it
So
learns from
we
you.
have some. It learns from you. So as the product gets tighter, I mean, we have a bunch of other features we have up on lock, but that's coming very, very, very soon in the future. But those, it's all about engagement, and we hacked the product prior to even writing one line of code. We made sure we did a lot of user research, UX research with our current clients, as well as other potentials that were out there in the world. And we got tons of great stats in regards to where the opportunities were and what they see as value. What practitioners see as value for their patient is much different from what the patient sees as the value. So that's what we learned. There's a huge divide in regards to communication, what the practitioner is expecting and what the patient is expecting, the end user, right? So we really bridge the gap to make a product that's really centralized for the patient.
Yeah, I loved all that. I recently, at the end of last year, middle of last year actually, I got the Whoop strap.
Yeah, it's a great product.
Oh, it's amazing, right? I really enjoyed that until the gyms closed, and then I don't have much use for it right now. But one thing that I really liked about it is how personalized it became. Like it gave me so much insights, right? And just having that insights into your well-being, how often you're doing things, data points off the collection, that itself enticed me to do better. And when you have a gamified system where you're competing against yourself to get better and better and better, I mean, so much of improvement is based off of that. It's just visibility in what you're doing and getting feedback cycles. I mean, back in the day, people who really cared, kept a notebook around where they're documenting their workouts, their macros, all this. But now with technology kind of inputting that and getting actionable results back and personalized response, I mean that's really insightful, right? So let's talk about like what I guess what is it like the healthcare, the health benefits and the behavior elements that can be tweaked through what you're doing, right? Like one of the main things about health and wellness is not necessarily just doing one thing, but doing it repeatedly, right? Build habits around certain things, right? Is there any kind of thought or process in your programs going around how to build habits, how to reinforce habits, create habit-forming routines?
Absolutely. I think that's really important. And that goes back to engagement again, right? So engagement means how you're able to get this person to do this one thing and multiple times over time, right? And we all know like habits form within, it takes 21 days to create a habit. And that we see that across the board. It takes about a month, about 4 visits to really get that deep down habit formation to get better. Another thing you also have to do with that person is create trust, right? You have to, especially in a digital world. I mean, if it was pre-COVID, it was a lot harder. Post-COVID, it's a lot easier to get people to jump on. And then the beautiful part is once they jump on, they see that value right away. And then they start reducing pain and their numbers start coming down in regards to pain level. And that just solidifies your gains. And then once you get to a certain spot within their programming, you have an option. It's like, hey, you can just go on with your day and do your thing. Or would you like to work on foundation so this problem never comes back again? And then from there, we build programming, and we already have programming that really solidifies. So for back pain, for instance, low back pain is core. It's core 101. And what is core? It's not just your abs. It's not your six pack. It's the last muscle you actually work on. It's actually that, think of it as a corset. Old English lady, right? That corset you tighten up, right? To look good. That whole corset that goes around. And then also the top and the bottom. So the diaphragm and then also pelvic floor. So we work on programming to specifically from the inside out. So we'll work on transverse abdominis, internal external obliques. We'll work on the multifidus, how to engage multifidus with the abdominal hollowing. And we also work on diaphragm breathing. So breathing techniques, mindfulness of breathing techniques, mindfulness of pelvic floor contractions, right? How to engage that. And then how do you measure that, right? So we have outcome measures for that, how to measure that. And then as we gain more and more trust, okay, now let's talk to our practitioners, even to specialize this to the next level. Let's create a workout preventative program they can do on a weekly basis. And what are you able to do? Legitly, how much time do you have? Are you a mother of 3, or are you like single and just want to make sure I'm in a good place with my health, diet? We take a biopsychosocial approach, meaning psychology, the biology, the physical side, as well as the nutrition side of things, right? So I think once we get there, we have a lot of people on the platform that are at that journey. So you don't need to see us personally as often, but you'll probably go back into the app and work on your programming. And then we check up on you on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis, and we take a look at your stats. And he's like, this is where you're dropping at, and this is how you can get that much better. Or you want to just maintain, great, let's do that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I like the how sophisticated you've gone into this, because obviously with your background training and the clientele you work with, this you have a deeper knowledge in this industry. Let's talk about the transition from going from a medical practitioner into more of a a tech startup. Developing a platform, like building this thing out. How comfortable were you in building like a tech solution for this and developing a platform? Was there a learning curve required? Did you have to go out and like learn code, or did you find a comfortable partner you can work with to trust and build it out with you?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ravi. I think I'm pretty risk tolerant, and I've always been very entrepreneurial. I think it goes back to I'm not I wasn't born here. I was born in Shanghai. Came over here during '89. That's when Tiananmen Square happened, when students were getting killed in front of Beijing. And I think it all comes from my parents, my father, at the end of the day. So, he made this massive risk of picking everything up and like selling everything we possibly had for him to get a one-way ticket here in the middle of winter with $200 in his pocket, sleeping in the subway station for 2 weeks before he landed a job washing dishes in Chinatown. And I think I go back to that. And like, I remember back in the days when I, first 3 years here and just sleeping on 2 chairs, and I didn't think that was that bad. So I was never afraid to go back there because we always find our way out of it. So I was always risk tolerant. And in regards to doing anything new, it's about risk taking and calculated risk taking. And I've done quite a bit in my life, and I think I've done okay. And did it require coding? I don't code. Well, maybe I do a little bit, but I didn't code this product at all. I made sure I went out and to look for the right people that can complement what I'm good at. What I'm good at is storytelling, and I think I'm good at getting people to really get emotional around a product or something that really matters. And I think this matters extremely. And I'm really passionate about this field. I understand it extremely well. I think it'll be hard to find somebody else in Canada, maybe North America, that understands the human body as well as I do, or the field, the insurance side backing of this, and how the system works, right? That's a whole different story on its own.
No, I'm really enjoying this because I love that, like the immigrant entrepreneur kind of grind, right? There's two archetypes for entrepreneurs that come from especially from like a very like volatile background, or such a low income background, right? Either it makes you super conservative and very careful about what you do, so you become very calculated, and like you said, like take that calculated risk set, or you don't have fear. You're like, I've been at zero. I'm not afraid to be back there. I just need to go up, move, right? And I think it's like the spectrum. People float back and forth in front of this, but I mean, if you look at most of the great entrepreneurs, right? Like a lot of them are immigrants or children of immigrants, right? Who have seen the family hustle, right? And I think that hustle kind of behavior kind of instills in itself, right? When you grow up in an environment where you're comfortable, there's very little push to push you into the uncomfortable, to push you to growth, to push you to paths of like taking risks and achieve greater things, right? And I think that being ingrained into us is a big thing. Like I love like exploring the entrepreneur drive, like what pushes people, right? And there's a lot in there. Like there's this thing. I think you might find this interesting. So there's a brain parasite that lives in humans called Toxoplasma. It's a parasite's normal. Its normal life cycle lives within cats and mice, right? So it goes and infects cats. It has no effect on the cats, but it makes the cats secrete proteins in their urine that with cats it reproduces in cats. So the entire reproductive cycle happens within cats, and through the excrement, that's how it comes out. Then
Yeah.
mice run into this and it infects the mice. And when the mice get infected with the larva, that injects it, it grows in the mice, and it turns the mice's fear reflex off, and it actually makes the mice sexually attracted to cat urine. So it forces the mice to chase after cat's urine and not be afraid of cats.
Right, and
there's no fear
the
response.
cats eat the mice.
Cats eat the mice, and then boom, that's the whole life cycle, right?
The health of the half, health of the cat, and then the parasite propagates.
Yeah. And now humans infected with this, right? It doesn't affect them in that kind of way, but it does excrete proteins in the brain that creates impulsive behavior, that causes impulsive behavior and risk-taking behavior, increase your tolerance for it. And what's been found is that a lot of entrepreneurs have this infection, have this parasite in them, right? Came across a cat litter box, or ate the wrong dirt when you're a kid.
I hate cats.
Yeah. Right. And what I find so interesting is like that this type of parasite that causes this type of very particular kind of protein that causes kind of thing can change your behavior and change your trajectory to make you more risk taking and more impulsive, but also more seek more volatile kind of lifestyles. And funny enough, like it was found that in France, where the word entrepreneurs come from, has the biggest concentration of this infection in humans. Right. So I love this kind of back and forth, like what drives behavior, what drives us to do things. All right, it's a lot more complex than we put it out there, right?
Right.
And even you talked about it too, like if you have back pain, like modern science gives you, oh, you have back pain, here's this pill, right? Here's like a heat massage for that. We treat the symptom, not the cause, right? And when you talk about the cause is, oh, it's not that, it's abdominal muscles around the coils around you that provide support for the spine, and it's not strengthened enough, it misaligns it or pulls and tugs the spine in wrong ways, and that's where the pain comes from. I mean, that is the type of like personalized response we want from a healthcare service. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we want, is that deep intelligence of like, hey, I don't want to just mask this every time it happens, or to cover it with duct tape. I want to fix the solution so it stops happening, and I know what to do better, right?
Absolutely. And I would say, there's a time and place for that medication, and you want it to be effective when you really need it. And it's not to say that this is the only solution. It's in combination with the right things to make you feel amazing, right? You still probably need some anti-inflammatories when you throw your back initially, but you want that inflammatory to start working really quickly so you can do the work to get back and then progress on your treatment, right? So there's a time and place for everything, including surgery, right? But if you can avoid it to the max. And especially because there's so much research behind it for MSK issues, right? Musculoskeletal issues. And it's about knowledge, understanding knowledge and the frequency and the formulation of that knowledge to get it out there. So there's a lot of information on specific exercise, but not how the exercise should be rendered for that specific person, right? And I think that component, that formulation is really important, and it's not documented. There's not enough documentation. That's why we're documenting all that data and how people present and how people get out of pain and stay out of pain, and why did they stay out of pain, right? So that's really important. But from going back to the entrepreneurial notion and the notion of suffering and notion of pain, the esoteric level of pain, I guess, I think it just comes down to evolution. If you're a science guy, it really comes down to evolution. And it comes down to this phenomenon called hormesis, right? So hormesis is basically what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And you have to have a level of stimulation for your system to become stronger. Think about the last time you work out. Do you get better cardio by sitting around doing crap? No. You're going to get larger muscle size by just lifting maybe like 10 pounds and like 100 times. No, it doesn't happen like that, right? You need to have the right stimulus to get stimulus. Same thing with your mind, right? So the less motivated you are, the less achievement, the less goal-oriented, the less there's no sky in the pie in the sky for you to achieve, that you'll never get to that level. And if you don't strive for higher, then you'll never land on the cloud. If you don't, strive for the stars, you'll never land on the clouds, right? So it's really important to challenge yourself. And maybe you don't have direction at this point, and that's what mentorship is really good for. And for me, it was my wrestling coach. I don't think wrestling, the sport of wrestling changed me tremendously. It took that drive and just exponentially grew it. But you need that hormesis. And even with Fixable, all we are doing with your body is hormesis. We're just stimulating your body in different ways for you to get better. And that's how evolution works. So the reason why we stand on 2 feet, the reason why we're so smart and we have this like neocortex is because we have to, we're a better species than most other species on the planet. And we're survived this long because of that. And I think some of the generations are getting a little softer, but and really comfortable. And I think for those people who are really comfortable, like look for things that is in your control, that you're able to like really challenge your body, right, and your mind.
Yeah, I mean, what you touched on right there about the next generation, like this is a worry that our generation is having, just like the previous generation did, right? Previous generations, like, oh, look at these kids always watching TV, always like, being idle and not going out and playing. Well, the new generation has freaking phones in their hands. They're going to spend hours just scrolling through, being addicted to algorithms and, all these things that are, fighting for their attention. And they're even more stationary, right? And they're more safer and more clouded. And like one with COVID.
Spinning all day.
Well, yeah, absolutely, right?
They're spinning all day, and you're a slave to the algorithms.
To the algorithms, right? Yeah, and then, yeah, so like there is always a worry about human behavior, right? Like you talked about this, it's like becoming softer, and it's true. Like with every innovation, we do become softer. I mean, we live in in an era where you can, with a few clicks on a phone, you can order a pizza that gets delivered to your house. You can get anything from half across the city delivered to your place. You don't have to move much. You don't have to do things. So that calculated effort, I think earlier you said it's like a systematic way to induce stress, right, in a controlled environment.
Absolutely.
Right. That's what exercise is meant for. Gyms are, sports are, especially like after the school environment, after you leave like an institution environment, and now you're like, operating as a professional, as an adult, right? I think it's so important to institutionalize a system where you're not just like working, and then, eating. You're also taking the time to like, develop your mind, develop your body, develop your soul, right? Like, grow different sides of yourself, right? I guess my thing is like, what would your routine look like? How do you promote mindfulness in yourself? Being an expert in this, right? How do you balance work life? How do you balance nutrition versus working out? How do you balance like reading and knowledge versus like more soulful experiences? Like, what's your thought process there?
I go pretty deep here. I do quite a bit. So I periodize over the year, depending on what I'm looking to do. Either get jacked. So I just got off a 15-pound gain. So I'm just working on power now. And then towards the spring, I'll work on endurance. So look pretty good for the summer. Being in control of my body creates control of my mind. So especially in this world, especially now during COVID, being like, we don't have control of a lot of things around you. I think one of the key things you're able to do is control your body. And a lot of times controlling the body is actually a lot easier than controlling the mind, right? Because we're so reactive, and especially now, the phone, the notifications, it's literally, it's social media, it's everything else trying to grab your attention, what we were talking about earlier. And do user research and psychology research to really stimulate that pineal gland, right? That little mindless brain, that little animalistic brain that we first started as a species with. And it's a really important part, 200 million years ago or 20 million years ago, because it prevented us by getting eaten by a saber-tooth tiger, right? But now we have this massive neocortex in the frontal lobe where we can definitely need to elicit and be in control of. And I think when you're in control of that brain and you're mindful as to when you're spinning and when you're out of control and other people are stealing your attention, that you have a lot more ability to control the rest of your life. So be in your body. So if you're, the first thing you control before you can control anybody else, right, is to control yourself. So controlling that body, having that physical prowess is really, really important. So what does my routine daily look like? I work out 5 times a week, and well, probably 6 or 7 times a week, but my main workouts are like 5 times a week, right? And I start my day at around 6:30. I just wake up naturally. That's just my alarm clock. I go downstairs and I do 15 minutes just mindful meditation. I used to do more guided, but now just do myself. So I use products like Calm and Headspace. And if you look at Fhyxable, Headspace is Fhyxable is very Headspace-ish if you look at the UI, because I love that product right from the beginning, and it helped me. So I do my 15 minutes just to get to that level of just getting to the zone where you get to a feel. If you actually meditate, you understand what that feels like and feeling really good. From there, I take my notes. So that's my day. And I use the Eisenhower matrix, right? So I write down what I need to do